Good morning. It's 10 a.m. Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. If everyone would please stand, Commissioner Mahler will give our invocation.
Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today in this Advent season asking that you would touch our hearts with the true meaning of that season and the outstanding blessing that you brought upon mankind when you offered up your Son to walk amongst us and lead us and guide us, who eventually gave up his life for to help us, to further us, to give us everlasting life. Lord, we'd ask that you be with our families during this holiday season. We'd ask that you be with our county family. Heal those that are sick, walk with those that need guidance, and bless them in the way that only you can. Lord, thank you for providing us with the greatest country in the history of man. Thank you for getting us through the election season, and we pray for healing and for understanding as we move forward. Lord, bless us, walk with us, be with us, and join us today as we have this meeting, and we hope that we would do things that would bless you and make you happy. We ask these things in the name of your precious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please join us for the pledge to the U.S. flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Everyone may be seated. Our presentation of the Employee of the Month Award for November 2024 is going to have to be pushed one more week. Yeah. So with that, it is 10:02 and we will open up to public comments. Remind everyone, public comments need to be limited to 5 minutes or less, and Commissioners Court cannot take action on any item brought up during public comments. Do we have any public comments this morning? I've got one, just a reminder that Commissioners, well, not a reminder, an announcement. Commissioners Court next week will be happening on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, not Tuesday, since the courthouse will be closed on Tuesday. So Monday morning, 10 o'clock next week for Commissioners Court. Anyone else have any public comments? Okay. It is 10:03. Public comment is closed. So let's go to consent agenda. It's a fairly lengthy list of 18 items. Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of the consent agenda items? Well, I'll offer one piece of information. So the amendment to the Aramark agreement. So for the LEC mills, that is just the agreed upon language for the increase to match the CPI scale that was in the agreement that was approved for this year. That's a 3.7% increase. That was accounted for in the 2025 budget, so nothing unexpected there. It is this would approve a fairly significant increase for the juvenile meals and an actual menu change for them. It's a 21.7% increase in those from visiting with the juvenile board and with Kirk. It was a priority item and something they thought was needed for the juveniles that are in detention. That may require a little additional money by the end of the year, but talked with Kirk, and no doubt we'll be able to figure out a way to address that issue if it becomes one. I think that's the only item that there was anything I needed to clarify that I'm aware of. Do y'all have any questions on any of the items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the items on the consent agenda? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. General business item number 1 is review and approve the regular bills for payment. Verify payroll taxes have been filed. And order county treasurer to disperse payroll and/or bills within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and ledgered in the treasurer's office.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, to approve bills for payment, verify payroll taxes have been filed, and disperse payroll. Have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve and ratify the minutes of the December 10, 2024 regular session and the December 13, 2024 special session.
So moved.
Second.
You know, the left side of this dais is doing all the heavy lifting today. Got,
Usually that case.
we got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon, to approve and ratify the minutes of both of last week's sessions. Have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, that motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 3, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve payment of receipt number 2389023 from Chick-fil-A in the amount of $276.70 and any future meal receipts for local law enforcement and school officials attending a mandated meeting in reference to HB 3 for safety and security of schools to be paid from 1005610-504852. The meeting and meal serves a public purpose. Question on this. Chief, just want to make sure your intention or your ask for this motion is that any future meals that y'all are providing for HB3 related training, this motion would cover them moving forward?
Yes, we have to provide training twice a month, or twice a year by HB3 from unforeseeable future. And that's all the school districts, all the police departments, the chiefs, or a representative. So it's a pretty big meeting. It has required twice a year. We had to fill out the forms posted on the state site. So we try to do it around lunchtime, or we invite them to lunch and go discuss the meeting. So.
Okay.
I don't mind providing lunch. I think we probably should, but I very much hesitate at perpetual action on something like that.
So, Kevin, is it something that needs to come in to be paid, or we just send the bill to be paid?
I
guess?
think it's a good idea that we approve it as a necessary expense,
Mhm.
but any future, you would just at least come to the court before and say, hey, we're gonna do this.
So it would just be the twice a year like you
Yeah.
have been doing
Okay.
to come and
Yeah.
have the agenda item and
Yeah.
and
Okay.
We put it
have
on
a
consent
certified.
agenda.
But we don't know how much
I
we're
don't know
going to
why it
spend
would be on
exactly.
general, but
It'd be on consent.
Yeah, it'd be a
It's a
consent.
consent agenda
That's-
item,
and
yeah.
I think that's what we were
Yeah.
moving towards, would be a consent item, not
No.
be a general item.
Not that anything would ever go wrong with it, but
No.
you never know.
Okay.
You could go away and we have somebody that
Yeah.
take them out to McBride's or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. So,
So,
okay. But yeah, as long as it's on consent, that's what I think the intent was moving forward. We can just put this as a consent bill and don't have to
yeah,
do it as a general.
I would motion to approve it without the perpetual.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Beecham to approve payment of receipt number 2389023 from Chick-fil-A in the amount of $276.70 for local law enforcement and school officials attending the mandated meeting in reference to HB3 for safety and security of schools to be paid from 561. The meeting and the meal serves a public purpose. So that was just without the
Yeah.
and any future taken
Yeah.
out. So that's the motion. We do have a comment before we take a vote on it.
There's only thing I'd like to mention, and I'm in full support of this, but several years back, we used to conduct a lot of training for our 18-county regional hub here for TAC. Most of it was done here because we had facilities to do it with. And I went out and bought a case of water, a couple of trays of cookies, a gallon of tea, I think a gallon of lemonade. I think a ticket on it was about $23 or $27. I submitted at that time to the auditor's office, which was the auditor before the last auditor. At which time that was submitted back up through the chain to the chief executive officer of the county government, who contacted me and told me that that type of expense, this is a direct quote, was a non-customary expense. And the only thing I'm trying to clarify here this morning, if I'm conducting mandated training, which all my training is in relation to House Bill 546 that we all train under, if I have some type of expense, and I'm not talking about a ribeye and a shrimp cocktail and a baked potato, but if I have some type of expense putting on a training deal, I would certainly like the same degree of latitude that William and Wichita County Sheriff's Office has. And I think it probably ought to be extended countywide to anybody promoting, or putting, I shouldn't say promoting, but putting on something for the betterment of county government as a whole.
I think that that's going to be the only quibble I have with you, Tommy, is that if it's in response to mandated training, to me it's pretty easy to go that's serving a public purpose. When you start talking about for the betterment of county government as a whole, that can encompass a much bigger pot of potential events, potential food, and I think that's why this court just has to take them as a case.
Well, and the thing is, Judge, I didn't come over here, I paid it out of my own pocket, and I understand to some degree that the commissioners as a whole have to pay for the safety luncheons, and I really don't agree with that either, because that's a tax sanctioned function. I got a strong opinion on that as well. But the deal is, I mean, this is not something that's going to be abused. It's probably something like William, they may do that twice a year, and we try to maybe put on 2 schools a year. But we don't have a history of going out there and doing something real extravagant. But the thing was, I was put in my place. I didn't come over to have a knockdown drag out so it'd make the front page of the newspaper. I just paid it and went on about my business. But for something, training that's specific to a mandated statutory type deal, I appreciate the support would extend the same degree of latitude for any other elected official in the same set of circumstances.
That's one of the reasons I asked for it not to be perpetual, so the court would be able to take action each time to determine if it's indeed a public purpose. So that would extend to anyone that would bring an agenda item to us.
I do see where that could go astray so fast.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's always been avoided. And I mean, could they do that training at 8 o'clock in the morning, have it over at 10? Yeah. I mean, there's lots of different things to say about it. You do have the potential there for that to go awry in a quick way.
So as this one is related to House Bill 3, and as Chief has just mentioned that they have to report to state that they conduct these meetings, are we not putting something to the state that says this is the amount that that it cost us for the time and for the supplies for hosting this to seek some form of reimbursement?
No. And to my knowledge, I don't think there's a mechanism for the state to, that's,
But if you could research that, I'd appreciate it.
we can certainly look
It
into
goes
it.
on our unfunded mandates.
Yeah, there's an unfunded mandate on that one from the sheriff's department 2 years ago.
And that's what I'm just saying, Judge, this is my circumstances, it's somewhat similar. And
Right.
I do agree, Mike, I can see Mickey where, hey, listen, you could have an excuse every week to have some type of luncheon if you wanted to, but for specific purposes, for specific training under House Bill 546, which all of our tax assessor collectors and staff are under, we do provide that type of training, but I mean, again, it's nothing of any extravagance. I mean,
Yeah.
and that, to Commissioner Beecham's point, if y'all will look at it on a case-by-case basis, I'm fine with that, but I'm just saying, I was more or less put in my place pretty quick on this deal several years back.
Well, and we wouldn't want to, we just can't defer our responsibility to have to be the ones who make that determination on if it serves a public purpose. So, but I mean, you're welcome to, for the next one that you've got in response to mandated training, bring it to us.
But is this now going to trickle down to where we're doing this for other agencies that we're going to set up an accounts receivable for portions of a bill?
For other agencies.
So if the school officials and the cities are coming to our trainings, or like Tommy said, for other counties coming and being involved in our training to get them what they need, are we going to start billing out portions of the bill to those agencies.
Wouldn't imagine that we would.
Just making,
Yeah.
seeing how this is gonna grow.
Yeah.
That's why I use the
That's what.
larger.
Yes, no,
And I can see it growing.
That's why it needs to come to court every time.
Well, you'd almost get to a set of circumstances where you tell somebody, I'm gonna buy you lunch, but a week from now, you're gonna get an invoice on
Tommy, did you
Well-
have those good cookies, or was
it.
it?
They
good?
come from Sam,
Okay.
and they were on clearance when I bought them.
Generally speaking, when we go to any kind of conference,
Yeah.
we're on the hook for the lunch by paying the entry fee to be at the conference. So,
case by case basis this, but for
Still the
now.
best way to deal with it.
Yep. For now, we are dealing with the motion that Commissioner Beecham made that was seconded by Commissioner Mahler to approve payment of this specific receipt. Are there any other questions or comments on this motion or this item? Okay, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 4, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve TAC liability proposal regarding cybersecurity coverage with options for either $500,000 in coverage at a cost of $15,417 or $1 million in coverage at a cost of $20,083. So this is, well, Kenneth, do you want to introduce this, or do you want me to?
Either way is fine. It's just, the cybersecurity is not necessarily a new thing. It's just been put into its own category this year due to the other issues that tax has with other counties. So the only thing I'll add to it is there are minimum controls for the $1 million. It's mandatory annual cybersecurity awareness training, the multi-factor authentication, and backups are offline. So there are those three for the $1 million coverage.
And we have already satisfied the requirements for the $1 million.
I believe so. Our only question is when it comes to the cyber training, if we have to do tax mandate, like tax version of the training, or if what we do will count. And we're still waiting on an answer on that. So
Okay, so we're waiting on an answer.
Yes. We reminded Steve, when Yolanda sent the email about the cybersecurity training, $5 per person, I sent an email back and asked if we could substitute what we were doing through our IT department, and didn't get an answer, so Steve was supposed to check on it, and we'll find out. We may still have to, I don't know if we have to do tax,
Okay.
or if we're okay with what we're doing.
Well, I think that, oh, sorry, Commissioner, you read
no,
something.
I think my decision hinges on whether or not we have to double up training. I don't
Well,
I don't
see
think
we
we
need to
double
double
up
training.
necessarily. We drop the.
Drop one,
right.
drop one for the
Yes,
other.
I mean, I feel like what Brendan has us do, I say you, but, is a lot more thorough and in-depth than
Yeah.
what the TAC training
It meets
was.
all, it meets and exceeds every single state
Mhm.
requirement, so they
Yeah.
shouldn't, I don't anticipate that being problematic.
Did we meet the minimum, the $1 million minimum in that last episode? Do we know?
the $1 million
That would be
minimum?
your question.
No,
The $1 million.
What was
Did
our-
insurance kick in?
What was our
It's
liability?
it's not finished yet. We
Well,
haven't
that's what I
final
thought,
bill.
and you won't know.
We-
Statute limitations run out.
I don't think we will get close to the $1 million mark, but it's also not a.
Well, and I guess that's my question, is 500,000 enough, or do we need a big? That's what it comes down to.
Based on where cybersecurity issues are going, I don't think it's going to get smaller. And for the difference in the premium of essentially $4,500, an extra $500,000 coverage.
It would take less than one incident
Yeah.
to consume that, so.
And which is why, and I understand the question on doubling up of coverage,
Doubling up the training.
doubling up training, sorry. Yeah, the training we do now is much more robust than that offered through TAC. Now, if we want to wait and make a final decision on it with full information after TAC gets back to us, we can. To me, it's worth it. The extra coverage is worth it. But
No, I agree. The $4,500 is minimal.
But I also know how much everyone loves cybersecurity training every year around here. So doing more of it is going to be greeted with
Yeah.
applause.
I don't see any reason not to push through, because all we have to do, if they say no, you have to do ours also, and we just do it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Our liability with cybersecurity is not going away.
No.
No,
No.
it's not.
And I will say this, I won't go into much detail, but I was extremely satisfied with the job that tax insurance and that they did in response to the incident earlier this year. I think it was a good investment.
I make the motion that we move with the $1 million coverage.
Second.
Just one more question before we vote. Is that liability cover like if my identity was extracted during that attack and they got my assets, that covers, does that cover that loss? What does that actually cover?
You're talking about for an individual or for you as an elected official?
Well, either. Maybe more, not me necessarily, but any individual. So individual. What is that? What is the liability?
So it's going to, like, a service that's offered to an individual whose identity may potentially be compromised in an incident. Yes, that is going to cover the cost of the service that is taking care of those folks.
Because I know we
Not-
spent money going in and upping our security, which was an expense. And I was wondering if that's what it was talking about, or actual damage to an individual.
Actual damage to an individual,
Yeah.
Barry, I don't.
I
Well, we don't really know.
wouldn't think
that
so,
we-
because
Right.
you can't prove
Right.
absolutely that
Yeah.
their information was taken from our breach or
Right.
someone else's breach.
Okay. No, just curious. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good, you're good. So we've got the motion by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon to approve the $1 million TAC liability proposal at a cost of $20,083. Any questions or comments on the item or the motion? All right, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Kenneth.
Yeah, I will let you know when we get back on the
Okay.
training. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah. I may let you write that email if we have to double up.
I was
Just kidding. Item number, let's see, where are we? Oh, item number 5, motion to rescind court order 24.1210.763 that assigned a project number to the Burke Burnett Annex project and directed Harper Perkins to begin necessary engineering and site service work. Commissioner Fincannon, you want to talk about this one?
Okay, the reason this is on here now, most of the court doesn't know this, and most of the public probably wouldn't understand why either, but we had a meeting with Harper Perkins, Commissioner Beach and myself, to just discuss floor plan layout of the Burke Annex building, the JP office, and just to get some ideas on some floor plans, roughly. Very non-informal meeting, just to get the basic layout. After that meeting, there was some work ordered that for engineering and surveying, which at that point, once you order that work, you're locked into your architectural company that you're gonna use at that point. Once you start spending money, you're locked into that contract. But really, in essence, we're locked into that contract either way, because we're in contract with Harper Perkins every year anyway. But that was our only option of time that we could have stopped and sent out RFQs to maybe bring in other architects to look at that job. And that would have been a point to do it before you started any work. So that's why I was hesitant to start work. And I say this because transparency for the county and the citizens, I always want to be very forthcoming and transparent to everybody and let everybody have a chance to bid on a job that the county has. Even though we're in contract with Harper Perkins, and Glenda, if I say anything that's totally wrong, chime in and say, oh, that's not right. But we are in contract with them, and they've done a fine job for us. I'm not complaining about that. But I have had numerous people tell me through the years that we always have the appearance that we're not putting those items out for bid properly. We're not getting other people to bid on it, and we're not transparent about it. That we already have it locked in with somebody that's already doing the work. So I was really thinking on that project that it might be a prime time to send that out for RFQs, get some other input on that job, since it's a standalone job outside the courthouse, simply for transparency for our citizens. But most citizens don't understand the processes that government buildings go through in building it. And I have met with Harper Perkins. I've talked to numerous architects. There's so much that goes in behind the scenes on county buildings, government buildings, whether it's city, municipal, state, whatever it is. A government building has to be done in certain ways. But since we as a court can never talk about this as a whole, I wanted to bring it before the court because there's some odd things here that I find. If in Burke right now, if we wanted to just go downtown and buy, let's say we just bought an old office building downtown in Burke Burnett. We could go down there and buy one and move the JP office there, the tag office there, and we're completely legal. We could buy it for $100,000 and be fine. We could put them in there. There's no law that says we couldn't do that. We don't have to go back and do special engineering. But if we're gonna build a standalone building for the city or the county, then we have to go through all these engineering and architectural hurdles, which inflate the prices of our building dramatically, which as a businessman drives me crazy that we can't save the taxpayer money on that. And there's really no way to do it. So my question, and the reason I wanted to put this out here, and the reason this is on here, does the court have any, and I'm not advocating this one way or the other about getting another architect, because I don't believe what they've charged us in the past fee-wise is irregular from any others. But do we as the court have any appetite to stop it and send it out for RFQs and bring other architects, let them send in RFQs, because we can't look at their pricing. And this is something that, for government jobs, you can't look at an architect's pricing in determining who you want to hire. It's illegal.
It's a professional services contract.
Yeah, it's
That's
illegal to
why
look at
we're
it.
allowed to stay with them year after year.
Right, and I understand that, and that's why I'm saying this. But if we're ever gonna do it, this is the time that you would wanna send it out for RFQs, before any work is actually done on that. And I'm just bringing it to each one of us here to kind of get a feel and conversation of what the court would like to do, because I never want the citizens to think we're doing anything that's not completely transparent. That makes
Well,
sense?
everything that we do is in court, so every change order, everything that happens on a project goes
But
to court.
everything we do is in court, but the general public doesn't get to see and doesn't know the legislative laws
Right.
that affect
And I agree with
the
that.
county. Like,
I totally agree with that.
you know, if Mars Patriot Construction there wants to go build a building for John Smith Plumbing, he doesn't have near the hurdles to go through. And he could build that building for, I'm gonna say half to 50 to 60% of the cost as he would a government building. And I guarantee you that.
I have. I know we have more hurdles to jump
Substantially lower.
But
because of ADA requirements, everything else that we have to deal with as a public.
well, you have to have ADA
well,
requirements on
everything,
a
but-
public, on any
Well,
business.
and some of that is since governmental entities are covered by tort law and their liability exposure is less, there's a lot at play on why the state has made the laws the way they are. But they do I mean, it does make us spend more money. It makes taxpayers spend more money on buildings.
I don't think any of us disagree
Yeah.
with that. And I will say this, I didn't know Glenda from Adam when I came on board at Wichita County. Glenda and her team they're essentially an extension of our staff. I can call them anytime, day or night. They're Johnny on the spot to help me with any problem I've ever had. They go out of their way, in fact, to help with things that we never see a bill for. I call them probably 5, 6 times a week, at least, with, hey, what do y'all think about this? What can I do? Is this the right course of action? They know our buildings, frontwards and backwards. They know every nook and cranny because they've been involved with our buildings long before any of us were. They provide a great service to our community.
And I'll back this up. After talking to Glenda, the school district, I believe, is the one, they get a RFQ every job they have.
It's the city.
The city of Wichita Falls. And every different city does it different. So every time there's a public job for the city, they do an RFQ every time. The MSU, they have 4 architects on staff.
I don't understand how you benefit. You can go out for an RFQ all the time, but anybody's gonna give you is a resume.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why,
I mean-
but some of them, like MSU will keep 4 architects or 3 architects on contract where they can use any of them. All I'm doing, and that's what after doing more research, that's why I said I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just saying if we ever wanted to, this was the time to do it. Because it's not just to add on another job for the courthouse or another, you know what I'm saying? It's a standalone job.
How detailed would that RFP need to be?
It'd be a queue, it's just a quote.
Just a quote.
And
So
it's-
you're
and
not
it's-
getting
and it's-
into,
And you, let's see, that's the stipulation, you're not gonna get any pricing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be just a resume showing what their
Right.
qualifications are.
I get
So
you.
what really aggravates me, I guess, on the whole government side of it is you can't even compare prices. So,
Well, and broadly speaking, my guess is any architect that's gonna respond to one of those is gonna have.
It's gonna have the
equivalent level of
qualifications.
They're gonna have the
qualifications. So-
qualifications.
now, would
What they
have
don't
billed
have is the
history?
entire knowledge of Wichita County and detailed knowledge of what every function of every office is.
Right.
That means an awful lot when you're designing a space specifically for a purpose. They already have been there, done that.
Well, in the courthouse, it plays a bigger factor than a
Well,
standalone tag office.
It does, but we've got experience doing a very similar building on the other side of the county.
Oh,
So.
and I'm not arguing with you.
I know, I'm just
giving
saying.
pros and cons here.
There's-
Because I don't ever want anybody to think that we're not transparent
No,
here.
and I don't
So
either.
that's my ultimate goal.
But
and Commissioner, I don't know if this is part of your question in this, but I'm thinking back and comparing this to the project we're doing in Iowa Park right now, which I look at nearly every day, walk around it, look at, see how we're doing. And boy, there's some massive work going on there. I looked at it yesterday. But one of the things we did in that project, which we didn't really talk a whole lot about, is we looked pretty thoroughly to see if there was an alternate.
other spaces,
Available. We did an active search just to see if there was something there, because the city had just gone through acquiring a church, and that's what they're gonna use for their city hall, and we were wondering if we could do the same thing. And I assume we've done the same thing in Park Burnett. You mentioned that you could go downtown and buy one, and
Right.
that's always something to consider.
And I don't,
If
like I
that's
said, I don't-
available, and I would assume it's not, but I guess we have done. We did do, my point is, we did do a search and we did look and see what was there and try to come up with the best possible solution. I think we have it. But have we done our due diligence
I don't know
on
that
that?
it's not likely a space that we could just move straight into without
Yeah.
some sort of.
No,
Well, yeah, you're
Even-
gonna spend some
Even
money
the
on it.
very nice facility we looked at across the street in Iowa Park.
Yeah.
Beautiful facility.
Absolutely.
Top notch.
Yeah.
We would have
would
still had to
require
renovate it
yeah.
quite a bit in order to make it fit our purpose.
And it was a large
It
budget.
was-
And wasn't gonna, yeah,
Top-notch facility.
yeah,
and I'm just gauging
yeah.
I'm gauging the tone of the commissioners here when I say this, because I'm not asking for anybody to vote. Matter of fact, at this point right now, after listening to what y'all have to say
Yeah.
and kind of hearing what y'all's tone is, I just assume I'm gonna pull that agenda item off myself.
But it did
But I
create a
just,
good
I just,
discussion.
I
yeah.
just want it to be discussed, and this is the only forum we have to discuss it in a whole.
Exactly right.
So, that's my reason for that. If there's no objections to that.
Yeah, so Commissioner Van Cannon would like to table general business item number 5. Is there any objection to tabling this?
None.
Okay,
Good.
then item number 5 is tabled. It is just, and I know everyone in here knows this, but a reminder for the public. Because of quorum rules, more than two of us can't talk about anything that might potentially come before court. And so a lot of times, I know even before I came onto this body, looking from the outside going, why didn't y'all talk about that and figure that out ahead of time? Well, because legally we can't. So a lot of times that's why some of these discussions happen here that you go, why didn't y'all just talk about
And we
that?
hate to bore you, but
Yeah.
Jim, can I ask that we move to item number 8 so Mars Patriot can go on?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, next let's take up general business item number 8. Discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve 3 optional changes to the Iowa Park Annex project from Mars Patriot proposal request number 1. Option 1, remove retaining wall and 5 feet of parking lot at a cost of $66,000. Option 2, remove remaining parking lot, reslope, and add retaining wall cutout for water at a cost of $137,177. Option 3, pour approach for new roll-up door location at a cost of $10,948. Who would like to walk through this?
I'll start.
Okay.
I'll start and I'll hand the ball off. So option 1 and 2, you're not going to take those together. They're separate options. We're already doing about a third of the parking lot. Upon starting the project, we learned of some drainage issues that we were not previously aware of, which prompted option number 1 to be looked at. That would just fix the drainage issue to the north, where we're sloughing all the water from the whole parking lot and from the building off into the alleyway and causing issues with other properties.
It would fix that issue.
It would potentially fix it. Yeah, it would go toward, I'm not gonna say it totally fix it, but it would go a long ways toward
Okay.
fixing it. Option 2 is to completely redo that parking lot, changing the slope, which would also have the effect of fixing the same problem as option 1. Right now, we don't know what's under that parking lot, which has been the same thing we've talked about from the very beginning, that we know a third of it is 3 inches of concrete with no steel in it. It's cracking when you drive on it, so that has to go. There's not adequate retaining wall. That's already in the project. This would be to completely take the entire parking lot out,
Which is why
re-slope
we
it.
had failure, basically.
Re-slope it appropriately. This is a maximum price. There's a lot of variables, like hauling in dirt, et cetera, but that's a maximum price. And option 3 is a completely different item. On the original plans, we had the roll-up door on the front of the building. Because of the way that building is built, that's not a viable option. It needs to be moved, relocated to the back. If you look at the slope that building's built on, it would require sloping a driveway up to that to get there. That's why the $10,000 cost. It's strictly on the pouring the correct driveway pad for that. So that option could be taken completely separate.
That's in the alleyway, right?
That's in the alleyway, which actually probably works out better. It's a better functionality for the 4-H folks.
Door's gonna face west, correct?
The door will face west.
Are we gonna lose our pine trees?
No.
Okay, I looked
No.
at that yesterday and I was concerned about that.
No, we
But
just
if I
have it-
show up with the pickup and the trailer, I can get back
Off
in
the
there,
alley.
okay?
Yeah, off the alley.
Should be able to,
you
yeah.
can back in the door with a trailer.
If you're good enough.
You're good enough.
It's not that tall.
Well, we also,
You back up to the door.
Do you mind coming up so that the microphone can pick you up?
so after looking at it, me and Lance were discussing that instead of doing just a straight driveway, because we didn't know what y'all were gonna do with it as far as a trailer or whatnot. So we actually looked at the property line and everything, and what we were talking about was basically doing like a little half moon. Coming from that roll-up door and then back to the alley to where that gives us a little bit more of a less of a
Less of a slope.
More of
Slope.
a transition.
yeah, more of a transition and just easier to back into it and drive into it. It won't be a cost difference. It's just something that me and him talked about, and he said, do it if y'all want to. So,
So we'll have access from the street and the alley, basically, won't you, all across the
just,
back?
just yeah, so you'll be able to come through the alley, and then you'll have to turn into the driveway, go into the roll-up door. So,
Yeah, because you can't get past the pine trees back there from
It
the,
gets tight,
from the
that's what,
yeah.
south side. It'll have to be approached from the north side.
See, and
why it is that. I couldn't find the barrier when I looked at it. I don't know where the property line is, J.D. Trevor.
Pine trees.
The pine trees are.
Property
No,
line's
it's wider
right
than
there.
that,
Where the light pole is up front, or that
Yeah.
power pole up
Yeah.
front,
yeah,
straight back is the
okay,
property line.
yeah.
And I haven't even been to the west side of the building. I thought the north side was the alley, and it's not.
North side is an alley.
The north side is an alley.
So
yeah.
there's an alley on the north side and
Well,
the west
there's
side?
not a, there's a space there, but it's not
not paved.
it's not a designated alley.
The west side's not an alley.
Yeah, no, it's not
No.
paved.
No.
Okay.
No,
It's
the
just a
west side
prop-
you
it's
can't
just
pull
pro-
through.
Property access point.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Now-
NRCS did approach, when they had equipment, there's a set of double doors back there on the original building, and they came from the street side across there, and they got in right there. And I guess that was right before the pine trees, I believe.
Yes.
I'd have to see a picture of it.
It's probably about 25 foot.
Yeah.
So you have asphalt up on the south side
Right,
that goes from the parking lot all the way to the light pole.
right.
And then
But
probably.
they did access it from that other direction. They did that for years with a four-wheeler and.
Well, since you're up
whatever.
here, I have a question. On the
Yeah.
parking lot and the reslope and the retaining, which way will the slope flow now? To the east?
To the east.
So everything will flow from the building to the street?
So basically what would happen is you have the road on the south side that is a little bit higher elevation. So what Glenda and I were talking about was you would basically kind of create a slope from the driveway or from the road to the center. Same thing on the other side, and then slant it to the east side and have two outlets on that retaining wall that will drain the water away from the house on the north side and then away from the building
Will the
itself.
east edge of that lot get to street level, or is it still gonna be
No,
elevated?
it's still gonna be high.
Cause it's pretty,
Yeah.
But
You're-
not as high as it is now.
yeah.
Yeah. It won't be as high as it is now, but it'll still be pretty high.
See, looking at it the other day, I was wondering if we couldn't do some angle-in parking on the street. I don't know if there's enough right-of-way there to do it, up against what's now the retaining wall.
Mhm.
And that might give some, because we could use some additional parking, like if you do early voting there or something like that, where you've got quite a bit of traffic.
Just put some asphalt down, I think there would be enough room.
Yeah, that.
But I don't know if that's our right of way or if that's our parked right
Yeah,
of way.
you could, and I think they'd work with us, but you get Great Park, you gain 8 or 10 parking spots there, I guess, if you did it right, maybe more than that. It's pretty long. Anyway, just something to think about, so.
But I would like to take them as two different motions.
Okay.
I'd like to go ahead and approve option 3 as a start.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion to approve
Second.
option 3.
Second.
It's got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Mahler, to select option 3, pour approach for new roll-up door location at a cost of $10,948, and approve that.
That that would come out of contingencies of the project.
Okay. That would come out of contingencies of the project. All right, so do we have any questions or comments on that motion, that specific part of this item? Okay, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Now, we are still on item number 8, discussing options 1 and option 2.
Out of the two, option 1 and option 2, I think option 2 is our better course of action because we still simply don't know what is underneath that parking lot. It's above our contingency, so it would require an amendment. So we'd have to do an amendment to the contract to go
Do you know
over.
how much above the contingency it is? Are they both?
We're getting,
No.
We just took all our Burke money.
we're,
From
we're,
ARPA.
we're getting our contingencies used up before we ever.
Are they still
That,
thinking?
well, and that's,
Yeah.
because I thought.
I agree, yeah.
I thought that the parking lot had been, I mean, we knew that this was, I thought that it had been included in the initial
A third of it had.
project. It was just the third that we knew had the issue.
Just a third that we're for sure about.
So if we don't re-slope the full parking lot, you said it took care of, most likely it fixes the issues to the north. Is it not sloped right now where it's draining away from the building?
It's all draining toward a residential house. Who doesn't like it?
It all comes back toward the building and flows out
Yeah.
between the building and the sidewalk of the building.
On the west side?
To the north.
It flows back toward the building and then to the north.
So it's basically sloped like this.
So it's
Right.
not, option one does not fix the issues to the north.
Option one fixes the retaining wall that's on the north side. So my original bid was the east side third of the parking lot
Mhm.
and the east side, however long that retaining wall is, and then 20 foot of retaining wall on the north wall.
It would-
So the rest of that retaining wall is on the north side. There is no drain over there, and everything drains toward that and the
Okay.
building.
It would put collection boxes in the
Yes.
parking lot and take it out to the street from collection boxes.
And you're not gonna change the slope of a parking lot a whole lot. It's still gonna be a valley parking lot, even if they report it all.
It's just gonna be a different valley. So right now, it basically, from the center of that parking lot, it slopes back to the building and then to the north. Well, when I redo it, from that building, it's going to basically bowl in the center and then go out to the east side, where we're gonna have, I believe, when it's two outlets. Yeah, two wall cutouts.
It also fixes some ADA parking concerns
Mm-hmm.
and other approaches into the building that's not currently correct.
I think you're gonna find that there is more of that parking lot without steel than just a third of it. I think, and I was around when that building was built. I remember when it was being done, and I know who did it, and
That would be your guess?
I suspect, I'm just.
So, when we
The
talked,
other is that where that hole is, and we know for a fact that the earth has drained and moved away from that, but how much of a cavity, how much, cave-like issues do we have under that parking lot? We don't know.
And we went in and patched it, I promise.
And that was your
Would-
motion?
He has made a motion.
I haven't made a
Oh,
motion. I
I think
I-
Burke would
I
mind
think our better
maybe
course
5,
of
6
action-
years to come over to Iowa Park and just do their tags and stuff.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're gonna approve it, you're gonna
Well,
be
come on.
taking it out of the,
It'll come out of permanent
yeah,
improvement.
either
Well-
way, so, either building.
Yeah.
here's what I would, this is
will-
what I would like to do. I'd like to go ahead and approve the option 2, but come back next week with the amendment to the contract and show how much we change order. Thank you. My brain's not working all that well this morning. Do the change order next week, and we'll work this week to determine how much of that comes from contingencies on a project and how much of it would be new money added in.
Okay.
Yeah, I
At this
hate
point,
to
I don't-
take the higher option, but guys, I think I know what's there.
And plus, when we
what's not
talked, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a maximum that you would expect to spend on this based on having to haul in new dirt and everything else, and we don't think we're gonna do that now since we're resloping.
Yes, so basically, I already have to compact it.
Yeah.
Once I take everything out, I've got to reslope it and bring dirt in for certain spots. I've got to compact it. I've got to get a compaction test. That, I think I put a price on there for cubic yard of dirt. That is for if we take this out and I've got a sinkhole underneath there. If it just started going down and I've got to fill let's just say 2 foot of void in a certain area, I have to bring that up in steps. I can't just go in and dump dirt
Right.
and say it's done. So that one, I can't remember what it was, 130 something. That's for
137.
a little bit of dirt work based on what he tells me I can do. But if it's a lot, then I have to do a little bit more for dirt work. But after talking with you that day, if I can re-slope it a little bit more, then that cost it won't be any higher than that.
You don't have any idea right now what you had on your estimate for dirt work allowance, Lance?
No, sir, that's just a cost that I have in a
And the reason I
square
say
foot
that, let's
price.
say you had figured $5,000 worth of dirt in your overall estimate, and you get in there and you find a void that's gonna take you $10,000 to do that, going over your original estimate. You don't have any, because the way Mark's, or Commissioner Beecham's taking it is that's a max price. So whether you had $5,000 worth of dirt work or $10,000 worth of dirt work, it doesn't matter. That's a max price.
Can I get my phone right quick?
Sure.
So I did have it broken out.
And while you're looking, I'll waste some of these guys' time, because I'll tell you, the Burke tag office has a parking lot that is all too high, that all slopes back toward the building.
But it's also at ground level.
It's at ground level, and when you build a new building, that slab will be higher, but I can tell you that parking lot will have to be addressed.
Makes you wonder what we were thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah. But that parking lot is just a gravel parking lot, basically. It has some chip seal and asphalt
Well, we're
places.
good at that.
And we might very well just chip seal the whole parking lot when all's said and done. Rather hot lay it, but
We should up against the building.
Hmm?
We should probably hot lay it up against the building. That's a different discussion.
just parking lot discussion.
Well, so,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
The dirt work will be included with the demo, so that would be 42. So roughly, if I put, so yeah, it'd be roughly about half of it for dirt work,
Half of what?
half of the 40.
40,000?
Yeah.
So you had 20,000 in dirt work. Well, you can do a lot of dirt work for 20,000. So I do have a question on that entire parking lot. Do you know the square footage of it?
I
Was
think
it on
it
your?
was 5,116 square foot.
And the problem is, Mick, that it's 4 foot off the ground.
Right. All right.
So is it
It
your,
would be my motion to approve option 2 and come back next week with the change order to the project to draw the appropriate amount from that.
Could we not
Contingency.
look at it next week in the amounts and then go ahead and approve it then as well?
Well, that's what I'm saying to do is,
then why, so I don't think, and that's what I was wondering too. So we don't need to select option 1 or 2 today, because we're not authorizing payment. They're not gonna move
well,
forward.
let's direct them to option 2 and we'll approve it next week with the change order.
You want to go ahead and get an approval to start demo.
Because y'all are gonna start on this week.
I'm pouring the slab for the back building tomorrow morning. So then, once they get done with that, I'm going to start moving towards that area. Yeah.
They haven't
But-
been slowing down a lot. That's good. And
Yeah, no,
and
that's good.
and
They're
that's
going
what we
fast.
want.
So, I mean, the only other thing with that is I believe from Glenda, I have to get drawings for that. So, I mean, that will take a little bit too. So if I have to wait, then that prolongs the project and costs more money.
Because Glenn, I'm
So-
guessing you aren't gonna do drawings until we select an option. Okay.
So that would be my motion to approve option 2. And funding to be determined next week.
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, if that's part of your motion, that can be part of your motion. I don't think it needs to be.
Okay, just approve option 2.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Beecham to approve option 2. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so we've got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Mahler to select option 2, remove remaining parking lot, reslope, and add retaining wall cutout for water at a cost of $137,177. All right, do we have any questions or comments on that motion or this item?
One quick question for Glenda. Linda, from the east side of that building to the Wall Street, to the east street, what is the difference in, roughly, in
Elevation.
Right now,
elevation?
next to that, okay, to the street?
From the
It's
building to
prob-
the street,
From
yeah.
the building to the street, it's probably, on the south side, it's about 2 foot, and on the north side, it's about 3.5 to 4 foot.
I was gonna say about 3.
And then, my question is, why has nobody ever looked at that, just doing a slope from the building to the street? And the reason I say that,
Rather
you're,
than having a retaining wall.
yeah, do away with the retaining wall all the way.
It's too short and too steep.
Well, I don't know that it really is. You're talking a 3 foot from the one end.
Well, you have, the first 20 foot of it would have to be pretty flat for
Well-
handicap parking.
Fairly, I mean, you could probably drop it on that 20 foot, you could probably get it down 10 inches.
No,
You don't think so?
no, 4 inches is all you can.
That's all you can go? And the reason I asked that is if you did that, I didn't know what it was from that 20 foot point out to the road. If you could make that where you could enter that parking lot anywhere, I never understood why the retaining wall was there, really, my years of going there. The retaining wall is really most of your expense. That's a 5,100 square foot slab, and you're looking at over $25 a square foot to do it because of the retaining wall. That's really what you're paying for, is that retaining wall. Because if you built that whole slab, just compact, tore it all out and built it all out, you could probably build it for $10 or $12 a square foot.
Yes, but you're also not realizing that this isn't just a job that I can go do. I have Davis Bacon wages, I have
No,
all these different things that raise my cost up versus me going to a residential house and putting a piece of concrete in. It's a little bit more involved than, because me and.
It's the same,
me and
same
him had the same
argument we
conversation.
had 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, has anybody ever looked at it trying to take it all the way to the street and do away with the
Why
retaining?
didn't we go in and drop the elevation of the building when it was built? That's always been my question. You could have cut that some, you could have gone.
We should have tore the building up.
You could have got half of it, I think. You could have got half of that elevation there and then sloped it. I think you could get checked. And why we didn't do that, I don't know. There might have been something preventing it.
So Glenda, your answer was it's just too far to do?
I think that it's too much to,
Too
on
much
one
work.
end, you could do it, but on the other end, I don't think so.
All right. Then great, but.
All right. Any other questions or comments on the motion or the item? Tom?
Just a comment, when this is all said and done with, on the basis of 1/3 of that parking lot, and we know what the workmanship looks like, and on the basis of Commissioner Mahler's intuition, what the other 2/3 may look like, no matter how this shakes out in the next couple of weeks with what we find, I would certainly hope that the court would entertain redoing that entire parking lot. Because I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna go over and have a real nice building, and it doesn't make any sense to have a parking lot for all practical purposes that we end up putting a Band-Aid on.
That's what
That's just- I
option 2
mean,
is, it's to do the
that's just-
whole thing.
I probably think the whole thing needs to be redone and be done correctly. And certainly after Commissioner
Well,
Mahler's.
think about what you're gonna find when you realize, 5 years from now, you'll spend a lot more than that to go in and fix it when it didn't work. I hate spending the extra money, but I know it needs to be done, because I've seen it.
It's been broke for.
Been broke for a long time, Jeff, sunk in, I mean, it just.
Since I've been here.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Can I ask that I know we're gonna come back next week with an actual price of what we believe that it's gonna be, can I ask that we make the motion at a maximum cost of that 137?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Commissioner
then,
Beecham amended his motion.
yeah,
Commissioner Muller, are you good with seconding that amended motion? Okay. So Commissioner Beecham makes the motion, seconded by Commissioner Muller to select option 2. Remove remaining parking lot, reslope net retaining wall cut out for water at a maximum cost of $137,177. All right. Any other questions or comments on the motion or the item? Okay, that motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Back to general business item number 6. Discuss, consider, and/or take action to allocate remaining ARPA funds. It's part of our ongoing series of this item appearing.
just be down forever, hold your peace. We're running out of time.
How about for a parking lot reslope? How would that work?
So Dwayne did go back, per the court's request last week, he did go back and get a quote for 10 radios, right, Dwayne?
Yes.
For 10 radios and programming of 10 radios that combined comes out to $23,793.93. And so, if we were going to do that, we would just need to make the motion to allocate that amount of money from the Burke building project that we did last week to this acquisition.
So moved.
Yeah, second.
And Judge, just so everybody's
Yes.
aware, that changes the Burke amount from 788, 174, 75 to now 764, 380, 82. That way we have those numbers in the motion, please.
Can you give it again?
$764,380.82 is now what Burke.
382.82.
380.82.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so we've got a motion by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, to allocate $23,793.93 of ARPA funds for the acquisition of 10 EMO radios, and changing the allocated amount for the Burke Burnett Building project to $764,380.82. Okay. We have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? Dwayne, you got anything?
No, sir. I'm good, thank you.
All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I'm gonna miss that item. Item number 7, discuss, consider, and/or take action to award air filter bids for the LEC. As a reminder, we had 2 bids on this that were presented last week. Or 2 weeks ago, we had a bid from Trinity Air at the cost of $28,320, and one from Otis Air and Refrigeration for $25,350. But Ricky had brought up the point of worried about a license, class license for Otis being able to actually work on the size of the units we had at the LEC. Ricky, what'd you find out?
Okay, so 3 of the systems at the LEC are 30 tons. Those are all outdoor air systems. They're rather large because they're bringing in 110-degree air and they're cooling it when they're putting it in the space, and freezing air and heating it. So with a Type B license, you can only service up to 25 tons. Anybody can go in there and change air filters. Anybody. You don't have to have a license to change air filters. You do have to have a license to service the equipment. And from everything I read on the LEC project, there is maintenance, so there will be servicing. So in that case, that would disqualify that company from being able to perform service on those 3 systems. I'm gonna make clear that it's just those 3 systems.
Right.
So outside of that, it's your decision, it's what you want to do.
I'd make a motion, we go with Trinity.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, to award the air filter bid to Trinity at cost of $28,320 for service in 2025. Do you have any questions or comments on that motion or the item? All right, that motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to item number 9, receive update on courthouse renovations and county courthouse annexes. Commissioner Beecham?
30th District Court, Visuality's finishing up and doing the final testing and everything on their product now. Did find a light fixture to replace the one that was broken.
All
I don't know if Tana got it ordered yesterday or not, but
Yes, we did. It was a international company.
Really?
So it caused some havoc in the debit card area, but got them
we got
to
it.
approve and it's ordered.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good. So that saved us a bunch of headaches. So it was just a lot of time spent on the computer searching until I was able to find one. So that's good. We should be bringing in the first set of pews later this week. So at least have half the pews in before the first. Annex, still just doing punch list stuff. Iowa Park, we kind of already heard where the progress is on that. They're pouring tomorrow on the back lot, or the new addition to the building. They're starting to put in walls and everything on the inside, so it's moving quickly over there. That's really all I have.
Any questions, comments on that item? Ricky?
Just to add a little to what Mark's got, I've been diligently trying to find this problem with the rusty water coming out of the I've heard a lot of comments. I've had the city come and flush the mains, and we've done lots of different things. And so finally, we took some time yesterday. I said, we're just going to open up a water heater. We're going to see if something's going on inside the tank. And the large water heater that serves the older section of the courthouse, once we opened it up, we realized where our problem was. And it's pretty much just deteriorated on the interior. So fortunately, whenever the jail moved, they had 3 water heaters serving the newer part of the courthouse and the jail. Of course, now none of that's there. So we took those water heaters out of service, drained them, and had them just ready for backup. So we're going to be able to pull one of those and take it to the other part of the courthouse,
Nice.
plumb it back in, and hopefully, I wouldn't say it's gone, but hopefully we're going to reduce that rust in the water problem. So I don't know if it'll get there any quicker, hot water, but we can knock the rust down, I think. So
Okay.
that's the goal.
It's good.
Thank you for the repurposing. And,
Yeah,
Good
that
job.
was a good catch.
Save his money.
yep.
Rusty Waters, he was a famous country singer, wasn't he?
I thought it was a NASCAR
I
driver.
thought he was,
Yeah, he could have been NASCAR driver. Could have been both, yeah.
Any other questions or comments on this item?
Judge, I want to take a minute just to thank Ricky and his staff, and Matt and Tana, and certainly the resources that Leon lent last week. Kind of a major project, but we were able to get our 2 new safes for our motor vehicle division and property tax division, and a lot of work involved in that, and to get them on site's one thing, but to get them where they actually are situated, it's a lot of work, and it took just practically all of Ricky's staff to get it done, and it turned out great, and we made a super buy on those, buy them the way we bought them. Appreciate everybody's help on that, Rick.
You can't just scooch them?
Scooch.
Yeah, when they get there. Thanks, so. Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. All right, it is now 11:10, and we will go into closed session for discussions with Wichita County Criminal District Attorney's Office regarding hiring outside counsel for Max Green versus Wichita County Bail Bond Board, cause number DCA 9-CV 2023-1234. This meeting is closed pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. I would ask at this time for everyone to clear the room who is not authorized to be here for the closed session. All right, it is 11:29 a.m. and we are back in open session.
Judge, I'd make the motion that we hire Robert Davis to represent the county in the forthcoming lawsuit.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Mahler, to hire Robert Davis to represent us, the county, on the Max Green versus Wichita County Bail Bond Board case. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? Okay, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. I will abstain. There being 4 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention, the motion carries. It is now 11:30 and court is adjourned.